It's 6:30. Okay, I'm going to make an announcement just because we're going to save some people some time. So we are deferring item 7C when we get to the commission meeting. We're having an LPA meeting first, which is the unauthorized feeding of animals. The city manager had a conversation with Michael Rosenberg today, the president of the Pets Trust. There's some confusion around what it really means. They're going to have a meeting. He requested it be deferred. So item 7C, which I think some folks are here for, will come back to the commission at next month's meeting. So if you're here for that item, you're off the hook tonight. I'm letting you, you get to go home early. So thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, with that, Mauricio, we'll call the local planning agency meeting to order.
Yes. Commissioner Goldman? Here. Commissioner Lama?
Here.
Commissioner Vizcarra?
Here.
Vice Mayor Svechin?
Here.
Mayor Scholl?
Here.
All members present.
Okay. Okay, while we've got a few people filing out, we're going to wait 1 minute. Okay, so in our continuing quest of our town center district, we've got an LPA meeting tonight, local planning agency meeting, and what the local planning agency does is it makes a recommendation to the commission. So we're going to discuss our proposed amendment to our comp plan for splitting the town center zoning. So what's going to happen tonight, if we vote in favor of this, is that this is basically, we've talked about the 6 buildings that were non-conforming. So this is basically our solution to solving the issue of the 6 buildings. So what we're doing tonight is we're proposing to split the town center along 163rd Street. All right, a new voter. We're proposing to split the town center along 163rd Street, and we're going to change the zoning for the area where those buildings were built that are now non-conforming. And so this is our proposal. If we pass this tonight, this then goes to the state, and the state has to look this over. The staff has talked to the state about what we're going to try to do here tonight, and the state has basically, they haven't agreed because they have to review it, but they haven't objected to the course of action we're taking, which is a good first step. So we're not doing this blindly, and we're not doing it in a vacuum regarding the state's approval of this. So then this will go to the state. The state will review it, come back with comments. We'll either align with those comments or not align with those comments, but the state will come back with comments, and then ultimately it will come back for a second reading sometime in the future, and then that would basically solve the issue of the 6 buildings that were built and ultimately non-conforming. The rest of the town center we're not dealing with tonight. We're going to have a public process like we described, and we're going to then basically solicit public input and public comment regarding what to do with the rest of the town center. So tonight we're going to, as we've talked about many times, our highest priority was the 6 buildings because, God forbid we had a bad storm or something and those buildings had an issue or there's a fire. Right now, in the context of our code, they're non-conforming. So I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of background. I think everybody understands what we're doing. So with that, we will read item 3A. Mauricio?
3A is just a discussion and/or action regarding the ordinance from the City of Sunny Isles Beach adopting the comprehensive plan text-based amendments relating to the Town Center District, creating a Town Center District South and North.
Okay. Who's gonna open tonight? Chris? Chris? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. I'm Alex David with Calvin Giordano, and this is part of the LPA, so I'm going to just give a very brief presentation, and then we'll talk about, if this is moved to the regular agenda, then I'll get into more detail on what we're proposing. But as the Mayor said, and he took away at least 50% of my presentation.
Sorry.
You tasked us with fixing the problems that are related to the buildings on the south side of Sunny Isles Beach Boulevard, which, as you'll see later on, we're proposing to divide the town center, the existing town center, into two distinct land use designations: Town Center North, Town Center South. These are the buildings. 4 of them are built, and the Saint-Tropez office tower and the Chabad are under construction as we speak. The location map just shows the locations of this existing area, of the areas that we're talking about tonight, and everything south of Sunny Isles Beach Boulevard. The westbound lanes we're proposing that whole area from Collins Avenue, west side of Collins Avenue to the Intercoastal, Sunny Isles Beach Boulevard westbound to the waterway to be included in the new town center south area. So what is our focus? As we discussed previously, we're trying to solve this issue with the buildings in the new town center south. And also what we're proposing with respect to the comprehensive plan text amendments will not change the density or intensity that are there now. So there's no change contemplated with what's existing. So the highest FAR building, that's the maximum that we're proposing at this time. So that will not change. The next map, we're doing, I guess I'd call it 3 steps tonight. The first step I've spoken about, splitting up the existing town center designation into 2, the south and the north. Also, as part of some comp plan map amendments, is to redesignate a few 4 parcels in the south area to better reflect their uses. The next step, or the third step, is to amend the comprehensive plan text for town center. So what we're proposing is some wording, and basically it's the town center is divided into 2 districts: the town center north and the town center south, as depicted on the future land use map. In the town center south, a base density of 75 dwelling units per acre and a base floor area ratio intensity of 3.5 shall be allowed. And again, this is only for everything south of Sunny Isles Beach Boulevard. There will be no changes proposed at this time to anything to the north of that, and the remainder of the town center. So tonight, with you.
Can you finish reading that?
Yep. I'll go on. Additional density and an FAR intensity may be permitted in the town center south for developments that comply with the transfer of development rights according to policy 14C of this element. Additional FAR intensity may be permitted in the town center south for developments that comply with bonus programs and requirements according to the city's LDRs. In no event shall the floor area ratio intensity in the town center south exceed 5.2. So there's three items, plans of action. The first actions are before you tonight, the comprehensive plan amendments and the map amendments. So what will happen is, through these amendments, if approved for transmittal, they'll go to the state for their review and processing. And it's not just the state, it's other review agencies, FDOT, the county, Water Management District, School District, and several others. So also, we discussed at a previous commission meeting about public engagement. What is the vision for the town center north area? So that's a separate process, and that will include visioning.
1 second. Hold on a second first. Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
The second part, after we transmittal, we also were tasked, or we had discussed public engagement for the town center north. So that will be a full visioning process, public engagement, charrettes. We haven't decided exactly, but we will do a full-blown review process of that area. Then based on the public engagement process, we may or may not, change the zoning code in the north and the south. It just depends what comes out of that process. And with that, I'll end my presentation.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to, any questions from the dais before we open for public hearing?
I have a question.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
Thank you. So you mentioned it's going to go to a few various entities for approval. What happens if any of them decide that they need more information? Does it
it's not
start all
really-
over, or?
It's not approved, it's review, so there are about I guess, about 10 agencies. I mentioned the Department of Economic Opportunity. That's the state planning agency. They will review this document. Regional agencies, FDOT, the Water Management District, the school district, if there's any change typically, but these are built, residential units are built, so there's really not much to say there. Miami-Dade County again, and a few others. Historic preservation, I mean,
Okay.
there's a whole list of agencies that get to look at this.
Any other questions?
Have you read the Waldrop report?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. First on our list, Renan Katz. Renan?
I have to say my name.
Yeah, your name and address. Yeah.
Renan Katz. Maybe the largest taxpayer of the city, and I do the best I can. I came late today from Boston, flight, so not so nice. I had a storm, not so nice. I didn't have a chance to change my clothes. Okay, so please forgive me for this. What I'm trying to say, the last few meetings I was not here, and although I saw I saw it on the computer, I saw the hearing, I saw everything else, and I like to ask to find out why are you doing what we're doing? Was it really necessary? Almost a full year. Almost a full year. We are back and forth, one against another, and nothing came out. And I wish you guys did not do it. Something you do forget stuff that is not happen, and it will never happen. So there's no need to go and do it. Okay, you know very well that I cannot let because it's all. Let's not play games. It's all infinity. It's all infinity. If there's no infinity, there was no problem whatsoever. And infinity can go to any other place that they want to be, but they cannot go right next to my shopping center because they will destroy it. They will destroy it completely. I definitely, by the way, before we go, I support a resident that that for them is very, very important. I agree with the resident what happened here, but and I must say I don't understand the commission why we have 98% of the resident against it. Why are we trying to fight them? That's it should not happen. The reason, besides helping the resident, the reason that I will not let this project happen under any condition whatsoever, because we know what's going to happen. There's one question: parking. Parking on the, they don't have parking. They have a parking. They'll have parking. Some 4 or 5 or 6 story.
Renan, we're voting on a comp plan amendment for the buildings on the south end of 163rd Street. We're not voting on a development plan.
I want to make sure.
And we have a building moratorium
When
that
I was
precludes a
not here-
development plan.
When I was not here.
No, I appreciate it, but all your people were here. Everybody
but I
came and
just
spoke
want- I
every
just want
meeting,
to show
Renan.
that you hear what I got to say.
I understand what you got to say.
No, I want to show that everybody heard.
Okay.
This will not happen because infinity, because again, the 2 other projects that the city did, the school and the 176, the restaurant there, nobody pay attention, and everybody does whatever they want to do. And the parking, go to 180 between 1 to 3, and you see see how many parents coming to pick up their kids and whatever it is. It's unfair to the tenants, whatever it is. Right here, if they want to build 1 story and parking on ground, I know, it'll be fine with me. If they want to build any monster, some store 10-story and more, whatever it is, I'm sorry, but I can't let it happen. In 1995, I built the most successful shopping center in Sunny Isles. I have the Marshall. Marshall, this is the number one in Florida. Whatever it take, that Marshall. You got CVS. You got many other stores that are doing well, and they're doing well because they got parking. If anybody go and takes the parking away, the nation without permission, it will not be pretty and whatever it is. And I will have to put 3 or 4 tow trucks to do it. And nice people here are going to say that RK is terrible and it does take care of itself. And you know that this is baloney. When RK told somebody in the 180, the parents that come there and pick up the kids, if you think that I want to do it, it's crazy. And one more time, I want to make sure that everybody knows here, I have never, ever received a penny from any tow truck that did towing in Sunny Isles. So I'm asking nicely today, the moratorium is fine. I have no problem with the moratorium. Do it. The question is not necessary because I don't know what you're going to do. The question is, what are you're going to do in the moratorium? I don't know. What are you going to say? Unless you find a way how to do it, that can build 1 story and parking, right, on the ground parking, and not go up. It's to be enough parking for the 1 story place and the 100 spaces that you need for the Newport. This could not happen, and I'll fight for whatever necessary. And so I'm asking nicely. I'm sorry today. I know that not exactly what I'm here first time in 6 months, and I just make sure that you know our position. No, we all know. You know that we will do the best we can to help the city. Whatever the city want, I even gave you on the house, no charge. The 2 experts that we have, that actually they told you basically what to do and whatever it is. All right, and at the same time, they came to my office. I told immediately, go ahead and do what you got to do. So I'm politely asking. I'm here now for the next 7 months, give or take. I can do anything, whatever the city wants from me, from RK. I'll gladly cooperate, but please don't waste my time and don't start fight with me on something that is not necessary. Because these people don't to build Infinity, I don't think that they know what they're doing, and this will never happen. And this project will never happen. There'll be a monster, big monster.
Renan, we got your point.
We
got the
understand. So
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Renan.
For whatever it is. And
Okay.
I'm available if anybody has a question, even later.
Thank you.
Come to my office, and I'll be very happy to do.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. Maggie? Maggie Gorda?
I have a comment.
Excuse me?
Can I go and follow him or wait?
Oh, you want to go after Renan? Yeah, you were actually next after Maggie. I just took them in order.
Oh.
Okay, good,
You
no
mind,
problem.
Maggie?
Well,
Okay,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I figure
Andrew?
we'll just.
No problem. All yours.
Good evening, Andrew Zadar. I'm with RK Centers, 17100 Collins. Mayor, Vice Mayor Commission. I hope you guys missed me last month. I was not here. So I'm going to read something quickly here. Since December of 2008, we, RK Centers, have obviously expressed our opposition to any new development project, specifically the Infinity Project, which exceeds the permitted density and intensity in the comprehensive plan in the area, which is, I guess, formerly known as the Town Center District, which will now be referred to as the Town Center North District North. Over the last 11 months, there's been a lot of time spent, energy, unfortunately money. We've hired, obviously Courtney Crush, land use, and Cecilia Ward, our planning expert, who have confirmed and obviously appeared in front of the commission with their testimony that the developable number of units is 50 units per acre with a floor area of 2.0. That's since been furthered by what we believe by the Waldrop report, which the city had furnished on their behalf. So we basically want to say today that while we are appreciative of the efforts to fix things on the south side, we still have the same issue as we move forward on the north side, and wanted to confirm, obviously, that the maximum allowed density and intensity for Town Center North would be 60 units per acre and 2.5 FAR. As we've always said, we are happy to work with staff moving forward and be involved in the process. But we want to ensure that while, yes, we're fixing the south, we are adamantly opposed to anything that would affect or increase density, intensity, or effectively an upzone on what is now the Town Center North District. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, Maggie Gordo.
Good afternoon. I come before you today because I'm so confused. I understood from the mayor the last time that we were here that we were so lucky because we were going to get an independent review from a third party that could look at our situation and tell us what's the best way to go. We were also told that there were options. We had options for everything. We have options for the north, we had options for the south, we had options for the buildings that we all want to take care of. But we are not given any options. Today, that report is not talked about. We are again going to amend the comprehensive plan when everyone agrees that we cannot send anything to the state unless we first fix the land regulation. So Calvin Giordano gets up here and says, South District, this is what it applies. But on the North District, everything stays the same. Could you explain, anyone here, whether it's the attorneys, the elected officials, exactly when Calvin Giordano says that the North District has a density and intensity, can anybody articulate to me what those are? Can you tell me why we are not including in the statement to the state the truth? The truth is that we were supposed to amend this. No, what do? We rely on the same people that have been giving wrong information for many years. So, not to revisit the past, I do want to move forward. I want to fix, I want the city to decide what height, what intensity, what density, anywhere. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm telling you to do it lawfully. It is conclusive. I sent an email to all of you, all 5 of you. Only one person responded. And my question was very simple. Why are you allowing the same city manager and city attorney, now a legal consultant, and the attorney to violate the state law? The conclusion of the report that you review is exactly the same thing that Ms. Crush and Ward have said. And I came here on August 28th and I said, do not please comply with the law. You told the state that you were going to delete the increased densities and intensities. I'm here today to tell you that you can do both today. If you are courageous, what you have to do today is to first invert it. Instead of amending the comprehensive plan, amend the land regulation to be the first commission in the history of zoning Isles since 2004 that does something lawfully. You then say, we amend our land regulation to be what it should have been since 2004. Then you acknowledge in your recitals to the state that you have made a mistake and that if you're asking for this specific increases in the South is because we have no choice. But you do not make the state figure it out, because you don't know who's going to be there. You don't know if it's a bureaucrat. It's your duty to stop it today. You should have stopped it on the 28th. You should have stopped it now. But at the least, I'm entitled as a citizen and as an advocate for the city. I care about the city. I care more than anybody else here, or at least as much. And what I want to know right now is, why do you feel that it's not important to you to comply with the law? It is conclusive. And I ask, if you have a lawful reason not to comply with the status as expressed in the independent review that you yourself requested, why don't you have the legal consultant give us in writing the lawful reasons that she has to tell us that this is what we need to do? I'm here to tell you two things. The way you develop this process is not correct. You told us you were going to get an independent review. You didn't meet. Once you got that independent review, who met? We didn't share with you the conclusion of that report. We could not evaluate it with the one from work. We couldn't talk to you about the crush arguments. I'm not here to tell you not to upzone or downzone. I'm telling you to comply with the law. Even the situation that we have today is prescribed by statute. It says that if you find yourself in this situation, you immediately have to start applying the comprehensive plan's intensity and density, and to pretend that because you are going to have 2 districts, you now can do whatever you want on one and ignore the fact that nothing can be sent to the state that is not truthful. Why would you want to do that? We have an attorney here, Jennifer, and she said she would love to be compliant with the law. Well, then do it. Be compliant with the law. There's nothing wrong. You can do it today. We can do both things today. You can say, we are going to amend to what it should have been since 2008. And then turn around and say, we are now going to change the recitals, tell the state that the reason we're going on this side is to this. Let me tell you what else you have to do. You have to tell us how much this has damaged us already. Density is not important. It's about people. People is what's important. You already have more people on the south side than you were supposed to have anywhere in the district. So you have to now take that into consideration. And there are people here that want to downzone, others want no zone, others don't want upzoning. All I ask you is that you keep your oath. Your oath is to comply with the law. The law states that you cannot send a comprehensive plan to the state when there is inconsistency between the land regulations and the comprehensive plan. And if your legal consultants are going to tell you otherwise, I want them to come up here and explain it to us so that we can understand it. Otherwise, challenge it or vote lawfully. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see, what do we got left here? Alex? Or Alan Kirsch? Alan Krischer? Krischer?
Thank you. Sorry for my handwriting, Mr. Mayor. For the record, my name is Alan Krischer with the law firm of Holland & Knight. I'm appearing on behalf of 17190 Collins Avenue LLC. They're the owners of the Old Rascal House property. It's at the northeast corner of the town center district, and it's within the boundaries of the proposed amendments. We sent in a letter earlier today, hopefully most of you have received that, because we wanted to alert the commission that we believe that the items, both of the items that are before you on the LPA and on your commission agenda, need to be deferred for two very specific points. When we received the notice last week, we were surprised a little bit that staff had made a decision that of all of the options that might be available to remedy the existing buildings, that the one that was chosen was to split the town center district into two separate geographic districts, and that all of the properties south of Sunny Isles Beach Boulevard, would be put into this new district, whether they were among those 6 buildings or not. We had tried to get a hold of the item that's under consideration tonight from the clerk's office, especially the data and analysis section, which is required under the Growth Management Act to accompany any amendments that are going up to the state. And I'll get to that in a second. The notice, which had to have gone out 10 days before this hearing under your code, said that those documents were available for inspection, and we tried to get those documents Thursday of last week, and representatives of my client were told they're not available yet, come back tomorrow. So we went back on Friday. We told Friday in the morning, well, they're still not available, check on the website tonight and then you'll be able to get them. And so it wasn't until Friday night that we were able to get a hold of the critical part of this document, which is the supporting information, the data analysis that illustrates exactly what the city is proposing to do and how it will affect the city. So the notice was wrong, the documents weren't available, and it didn't give us nearly enough time to adequately assess them. Now, even though we haven't had much time to look at them, the data and analysis that have been provided to accompany this application are inadequate. And we could just tell that just from the surface. We didn't have a chance to dig into whether they're correct or not, whether they're accurate or not. But you are completely missing any impact analysis whatsoever for about half the properties that are going to be in this new Town Center District South. Because according to your staff analysis, you are establishing this FAR in density, essentially, according to your analysis, up-planning the Town Center South District for all of the parcels south of Sunny Isles Beach Boulevard, not just the 6 that have existing buildings that are either there or under construction. And you will need to provide to the state and to all of those reviewing agencies, particularly FDOT, which owns one of those parcels and might be interested to find out what's going to happen to it, you have to provide information on the impacts to roads, water and sewer, schools, and things like that. And the report simply ignores, leaves out altogether about half of the property. There's about 9 acres of property in the Sunny Isles Beach South District that was not even analyzed in your impact section, the concurrency section, things like that. And what is unconscionable is that the reason we're all here tonight on this particular item, the reason there has been so much discussion about this is because of the failure to provide adequate data and analysis to the state at the time of the original actions on the Town Center District. We believe that it is not necessary to rush this forward with these defects. There is an opportunity to correct these errors and go forward in a solid and legally defensible fashion. And it's an easily avoidable mistake that we can correct. So we are asking you tonight to please defer this item, 3A and 3B, both from this agenda and then when you sit as the commission from that agenda, so that you have an opportunity to correct these defects. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Public hearing's closed for item 3A. Do you want to speak to the comments, Chris? I have you for the commission meeting, Ella? I have you for...
No, I have 2.
Excuse me?
I have 2.
Okay, I don't have a public speaker card for you, Ella, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, I've got two public speaker cards for you, one for, one. Okay, I'll trust you. Come on up. I've got item 13 and item holiday CPM and other licenses.
So I just have a couple of quick questions.
Sure,
I understand it's Southtown Center, so I'll stay away from the north side.
right.
This gentleman is whom?
He represents the Deserts who own the Epicure property.
Okay, so you represent a third party?
No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't?
That's our
Gentleman here.
consultant.
Oh, that's our, no, I'm sorry, I thought you meant the gentleman that just spoke.
This gentleman.
I'm sorry, Ella, I'm confused.
Who does he represent?
He represents the city. That's our
Okay, so he was
consultant.
hired by the city. When we put together a map of the west side with Chris Russo and with Claudia, we talked about the annexation really of Town Center South in order to solve this problem, and it's sensible.
We did.
But what the devil's in the details, and when this gentleman read what the statute is going to look like that you sent Tallahassee, I thought it was important that we see the verbology of that letter and say, yeah, because it doesn't open the door to anybody piggybacking in on it in the future. It's a one-time thing.
Right.
And we know from those words that nobody's going to call that to open up a variance on build in the future.
I guess unless we sell a park.
So I'd like
Yeah.
to see that in English, or at least have to be able to review it longer
Sure.
than him reading it up there on the screen.
Sure, I think you can ask anybody for copies of
But you're going to vote
it.
tonight, and I think it should.
But it's first reading, and then it goes to the state, and then there's going to be a second reading.
But
So there's plenty of time to look at it.
Isn't there a way to table it so that we have a chance to read it before you send it? Because the devil's in the words.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're asking for. It's very, very specific, even where you put the period and the comma. Change what you're trying to say. And I just like an opportunity, I'm sure the rest of the residents probably would. But that said, when I look at the property in question that RK has, is that one on the corner of northwest corner, the one that Deezer doesn't want built high because he thinks it's right on the corner of
It's not-
163rd?
It's not Desert, it's RK doesn't want it built.
I mean
Right.
RK, the one right on the corner.
Right,
Is
it's where the
that
Shell station
going-
is.
Pardon me?
It's where the Shell station is. It's
the
not
Shell-
affected by the Town Center
Is that
South.
part of this Town Center South?
No.
Okay. Now, this gentleman in reading mentioned that there were, my understanding is there are 6 buildings we're trying to bring into compliance. Those buildings are already built. They're done, right? So as Deezer's attorney mentioned, my understanding prior to his talk just now was that there was no other development that is going to happen on Town Center South. The building was done, there was no more land available, that was it. So we were just going to move it into compliance and mea culpa and move on to
So we
another-
drew a circle around the area.
But
And there's parks in that area. So some of the acreage he's talking about
Right.
are our parks.
Oh,
There's parks.
So those 9 acres that he said that are open and
Right,
undeveloped are city-owned?
In respect to his comments, it was a little, so, there was a little bit of drama there. So there's parks there.
Are they city-owned?
Yes.
So they're all city-owned?
Yeah,
Are
not
they
everything,
leased?
not everything. Chris, go ahead.
You've
Good.
got the Water and Sewer Department of the county, you've got FP&L, you've got our parks.
You've got FDOT.
Is there any private undeveloped,
And
privately owned
FDOT, and
undeveloped land there?
FDOT property.
I don't think there's any there's no private undeveloped land. It doesn't mean that they couldn't tear down the public storage building, for instance. And, you could make an argument that somebody could come back and tear something down, but I would tell you that there's no vacant land left to be developed in that Town
And
Center
that
South.
private storage that's there, it's been there a long time.
Been there a long time.
Is that owned by one individual, is it privately
I
owned?
don't know. It's owned by a public company, which you call Public
Oh,
Storage.
I see. So you're right, that could be developed, but I thought it was
And then the
interesting-
Rabbi's piece, the Rabbi Kaler has a piece there. That's, he's developing that as we speak. That's being built on as we speak.
Is the land already, have they already broken ground?
They've already broken ground, right? The building's being built. So there's no vacant privately owned developable parcels left in the
Left.
town center
They would have
south.
to sell something and tear it down and build.
Or the
if-
city would have to.
Or the city would
have to-
buy it, blah, blah,
correct.
blah. Okay, so, you
Yeah.
know, that, it makes sense to me.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about, let me see if there was something else. Excuse me, I'm just checking my notes. Oh, the moratorium for building, that only covers town center?
Mhm.
That isn't for all of Sunny Isles? Okay, I had misunderstood that. And then we're going to have it open to,
Then we're going to have public meetings regarding the rest of the town center, regarding the town center north, and that's what the consultant spoke to earlier.
okay, so my request is to go along with Deezer's attorney and ask for at least a hold so we can read what that letter is, the letter of the law that you're sending it to Tallahassee, because he just went through it, and it really needs, I need to look at the statutes, and I need to see kind of what that means.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ella. Okay, public hearings closed. We want to hear from the commission. Alex?
No, I don't have any comments at this
Okay.
point.
Dana?
Okay, so for me, as I've articulated very clearly in July, that door number A is litigation and door number B is litigation, and there's going to be litigation. So it's clear from the receipt of this letter from Holland and Knight that this is basically a pre-litigation letter. So what's going to happen is, because of the procedural defects, allegedly, that have occurred in this process, because the materials were not furnished within the period stated, if that is to be the case, and because of that, it's just basically a repeat of the Renan Katz litigation, or it's going to be another lawsuit, basically.
Have you asked our city attorney if he thinks that we've noticed properly?
I'm sure that this letter was sent, basically, that there's some colorable claim. But I can certainly ask our city attorney what you think about that, whether or not you think, I mean, we just got it this afternoon, so.
I think that we have complied with Florida Statutes Chapter 163 in providing the notice. If there's a defect in the report that Calvin Giordano is preparing, is being sent to the state and the other agencies, then they can tell us that, and Calvin Giordano will be responsible for fixing it. But there's no legal requirement that anybody have that report prior to you transmitting it to the state of Florida.
Okay, well, I don't know. I'm not the lawyer in this, and I can't really say, but I do believe that there is the specter of yet another litigation on this, whether or not, where it's going to go. But the larger issue for me is that I think that this whole process that I've received the materials on, for me, it's a complete gloss over of this independent experts report, which is the Waldrop report. So our mayor made a big deal in the prior meeting that the city was going to commission an independent expert to go through an analysis, an expert that didn't live here, that could give a fresh look on what's happening, and we could learn about that, not from Calvin Giordano and not from Cecilia Ward or Renan Katz's experts, but we would have a fresh look at this. And clearly, the conclusions that were stated in that Waldrop report, which the city commission spent a lot of money on, $10,000, $30,000, whatever it is, it was at your behest and under your recommendation. So I'll just read just briefly for the audiences, the audience here and the residents. Amending the comprehensive plan to move towards consistency with the land development regulations is not the prescribed step outlined in section 163-3194 of the Florida statutes, which begins with amending the regulations to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. So again, this is the order of things. And again, the other conclusion that was reached by our independent expert, independent consultants, which nobody wants to talk about from the city side, but at least it's here.
That's not
The cer-
accurate, Dana.
well, okay,
No, we do
wait,
want to talk
can I-
about it,
wait,
and we're
well,
going to
let's-
have a
well,
public forum to talk about it.
let me
It's not
finish.
getting prosecuted tonight.
Let me
Tonight, we're
finish.
dealing with Town Center South and the
I'm-
6 buildings.
But it is clearly the case, and I'm directly on point, so I'd like to have my time to
Okay.
articulate that.
Sure.
Thank you. The circumstance at hand where the local government has allowed a land development regulation which is inconsistent with the most recently adopted comprehensive plan to remain in effect is prescribed by Florida statutes where the local government, the city of Sunny Isles Beach, shall adopt a schedule for bringing the land development regulation in conformity with the most recently adopted comprehensive plan. During the interim period, the provisions of the most recently adopted comprehensive plan shall govern any action taken in regard to an application for a development order. So again, I am reiterating not only the specter of potential litigation for failure to follow whatever protocol or procedures. I'm not saying whether it has merit it's going to fly, but I'm also articulating the order of things. For me, we should be addressing the land development regulations before we should be doing yet another quick fix.
That's because you don't live in one of the 6 buildings that's vulnerable.
That's not
And this is why we
okay,
passed a building
what we-
moratorium, because there can't be a
But
development order.
I'm in the middle
This
of a
is the whole point.
conversation, and I would appreciate to have the floor respectfully.
Take the floor.
Okay, so I believe that this is yet another unlawful attempt in derogation of Chapter 163. I think this is not the correct order of things. I would respectfully want to see a deferral of this as well, because we should be abiding by that as well. And I really think that this Waldrop report was largely corroborative of the Renan Katz report. It was largely corroborative of everything that I've been saying. And I also think that we should again revisit the discussion of TDRs, which we went into a large discussion, and I'd love for Mayor Edelcup, former Mayor Edelcup, to really talk a little bit about the TDR situation, whether it's in this tranche or the next tranche. But again, I believe that this is really what it's about. It's the order of things, that we should be addressing our land development regulations first and foremost.
And what we've said all along is the order of things in terms of priority would be the 6 buildings. And so the
But
whole
you
point
can't
has
do
been.
it in a vacuum. You
Yes,
can't do it.
we
You
can
can't
do it in a
just do the
vacuum.
densities and
We can do
intensities.
it.
No, you can't.
We're doing it right now.
You're going to
We're doing
try.
it right now. You'll see. It'll go to the state. We're doing it right now.
You're going to
We
try,
passed
but
a
it's
bill-
in
Dana,
derogation.
now I have the floor. Thank you. We passed a building moratorium. That stays any development orders. What you just spoke to is if a development order came before us. The building moratorium stays the development orders. We know that those 6 buildings are vulnerable. If there's a fire, if there's a casualty, it's a bad situation.
I think
You
it's
can
an
shake, Dana,
overstatement.
I have the floor. You can shake your head because you don't live there, okay?
I live
But the
very
fact
close.
is-
Wait a
but
minute.
the
I
fact
live.
is-
You
no,
know
I
what?
have the
I
floor.
live in the same
I have the
place
floor.
that you do. Okay?
I have the floor.
And you're
okay?
being a little.
Dana,
You're being a little harsh here.
No, I'm
because
not.
We're not. Those
No.
buildings are
the
standing.
fact of the
and
matter
they're
is the
not
buildings
going
are standing
anywhere.
today because there hasn't been a fire or a casualty. Okay,
You
and
know what?
this has been our priority. Listen,
it's
you can
not
be
the
cavalier
case.
until
It's
that
not-
fire breaks out.
I'm
That's
not-
fine.
That's a
Okay?
very inappropriate
It's not
way to
inappropriate.
describe
It's
it.
absolutely what's happening here.
There's
okay?
that
Because
building
all we're
would be
talking
razed
about
to
is
the ground
procedural order.
completely, and
All we're
that's not
talking
true at
about
all.
is a procedural order
Wait
here.
a minute.
Okay,
Are
we're
you
done.
suggesting?
We're
Are
done.
you suggesting that
No.
if the building had a fire, that the city wouldn't give a building permit to that building to rebuild?
I'm telling you that we couldn't give a building permit to that building to
couldn't?
rebuild
I
if
disagree.
it
I
exceeded the
disagree.
50% rule.
I disagree.
Okay, well, you're wrong, but that's besides the point.
Okay, well,
Okay.
I think you're wrong on this.
Okay.
I think this is unlawful,
Obviously,
and I think we
folks,
shouldn't move
you
forward.
know, okay, great. We appreciate your opinion.
Okay.
Commissioner Viscara.
I don't have any comment.
I have a question for our attorney. Did Maggie had asked for the legal consultant's reasoning for going forward with this? Did we receive that from our legal consultant?
Well, I'm the city attorney.
No, I know that, but Maggie had
She's
requested.
She's worked with us every step of the way on this.
But Maggie had requested that.
I don't know what she requested.
Okay, I believe she requested clarification as to why the previous city attorney and our consultant was recommending for us to move forward with this. Am I wrong, Maggie?
I don't
I
know.
mean, I don't want to open up the discussion, I just
Well,
wanted to.
you are.
Public hearing.
Okay, so sorry.
I don't want to, because
Okay.
Maggie's going to speak to 3B. You'll get to speak to 3B,
Okay, so
Maggie.
we can talk about that later.
I understand, but the public hearing's closed, and I don't want to get in a protracted argument.
Okay.
But when 3B comes up, we can speak to it again, Maggie. Thank you. So I just want to follow order, that's all.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
That's all I
Um,
have. That's my only question.
If the previous attorney was the one that did it as opposed to the.
No.
So, okay, all right, Larissa, ask your question.
My question was, Maggie had requested an explanation from our consultant as to why we should move forward with this, and that's,
Why we should move forward with this? So-
and that's what I was asking,
Okay,
for clarification on that.
okay, Maggie, clarify.
We have a report that says,
Maggie, do me a favor. What I want to do is, you covered your ground, and we're clear on your ground, because you covered your issues 2 or 3 times.
The question,
I want to just
wasn't
address
clear.
Larissa's question. I don't want to get into a protracted.
listen,
Okay.
I will say my piece. I have a right to say my piece.
You've said your piece, Maggie.
I want
Please
to
answer-
say it again.
Please answer the
There's
commission.
people here
Please
that
answer
you
the
allowed
Vice
to
Mayor's
talk
question.
for a long time over
Right.
nuisances. This
Okay,
is
go ahead.
important.
Go ahead, Maggie.
Complying with the law is important.
I agree.
Okay, so when the mayor refers to the order of things, he's not talking about the statute. He is talking about in reality, a maid cry. All of us care about those 6 buildings, and they will never have a problem. However, the way that this has been put together is not right. Not only did we not get the papers in a correct way, but I cannot get a simple response. I would like for the city attorney or the legal consultant to tell us in reality how we can send to the state a comprehensive plan that where we know that land regulations have not been consistent with that comprehensive plan since 2004. In 2004, you did not make it consistent with
We
the
understand,
comprehensive
Maggie.
plan.
Yeah. We understand.
2007, you don't understand anything, sir.
Okay.
2007, this was, well, I would like not to be interrupted, thank you. 2007, it was requested from the state, an amendment to the comprehensive plan, and the state, in March of 2008, represented to the state that they were going to delete those increases and densities. They failed to do it. Commissioners like you, paying attention what legal consultants and attorneys told them. You blame them. But you were there in 2007, Mr. Mayor, you were there in 2008. You participated in the site plans recommendations of all of those buildings that were being built with outrageous intensity and densities. And you know what? I'm very concerned about them. But I'm concerned that you are not concerned about the additional densities and intensities that we have in that. And you know what? It affects the whole city. It isn't only my building. And if you care about this city, you need to assess. And you know what can happen? What can happen is that when this goes to the state, we may have already exceeded intensity and densities in the city where we will have no choice but to downsize or no size or whatever, litigation or no litigation. And I'm going to tell you something else. Don't allow anybody to tell you here, it's going to cost us millions to give this money to the developers. No, you know what? You do the same thing that we do when we make a mistake in a condo. You go to your insurance and say, pay up. We made a mistake. You made a mistake, pay for it. But don't make the city pay for it. And what I'm saying is, what you're doing, I don't care who tells you, to send a comprehensive plan for a 4th try of amendment when you don't have the data from the beginning since 2004 is unconscionable, and it shouldn't be.
Thank you, Maggie.
And I'd like to also
Okay.
interject, to say that I don't care about those buildings, I think that's way out of line.
Thank
Way
you.
out of line.
Okay,
Just way out of
Your
line.
comments are noted. Okay, thank you, Vice Mayor. Any other comments?
No.
No? Okay. I think my position's clear on this. So I will, actually, do we take a vote? Do we take a vote?
We need a
on-
motion to recommend approval.
I'd
we
like
need-
to
so we
know
need
if I can move to defer
So we
or
need
not.
a,
I can
okay,
move-
so
Can I move
quiet,
to
please,
defer?
please,
Can I move
quiet,
to
please.
defer this?
Okay, do we have a
Yes.
second on the deferral?
Does anybody?
I don't hear a second. Okay, deferral's dead. Okay, do I hear a motion to recommend 3A to the commission?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Mauricio, is it a
It's
voice
just a
vote?
voice vote.
Voice vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed?
No,
No.
yes, no,
Okay.
definitely
All
opposed.
right, motion carries. We go on to item 3B.
3B is a discussion or action regarding amendments to the future land use map.
Okay. It's pretty much the same, it's the same issue, okay. So, okay. So I've got, this is really, what this is actually this is the amendment to the comprehensive plan, the land use map of the comprehensive plan. So this would be, again, the recommendation to the commission. They're both the same issue, but I've got public speaker cards that speak to 3A and 3B. So I'm going to call the public speakers back up that asked to speak for 3B. So I'm going to open the public meeting. Renan, do you want to speak again? On the same issue? It's the same issue. Do you want to speak again? Renan? Do you want to speak again? No? Okay, I'm sorry. Andrew? Andrew, you want to speak again? No? Maggie, do you want to speak again? Maggie, all yours. Voila. See?
Okay, I'm back here.
Who says it's not an open process, Maggie?
Well, let me tell you something.
Here we
I
go.
will only tell you that what you're doing is unlawful, and I want to
Maggie,
go
put
on the
the
record
microphone
as to
closer.
say,
Please pull the microphone. Thank you, Maggie.
I would like to say that you took an oath of office, you violated on the 28th, you did again today. I'm very disappointed today. I was very angry last time. My expectations for today was exactly what you did. It is, in reality, the definition of insanity to keep doing the same thing for the same results. You have failed again, the city of Sunny Isles Beach. But this will come around, and I will say this to you, shame on you. Shame on all four of you.
Thank you, Maggie. Okay, Alan Kritchner, you want to speak again? We're good? Okay. Public hearing's closed. Ella?
Ella had a card.
Ella, are we going to,
Yours were
This is
specifically for the regular city commission meeting for 13, which is the citizens forum, and for 7A and B, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah. Ella, did you have anything to add to your prior comments?
This was about a different subject matter.
No, we're on the same, we're on the same issue. We're just on another agenda item, same issue.
I could add one thing.
It's 3B, but
Okay, well,
we're good. We're good. No, okay. Any comments from the dais? Alex? No. No? Dana?
Against.
Okay.
No
Jennifer?
comment.
Larissa? Okay, no comments, okay. Do you want to make a motion to, well, 3B, I guess if we didn't defer 3A, we're not deferring 3B. Do I hear a motion to approve 3B?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed?
Aye, no,
Okay.
opposed.
Opposed, okay, 3B carries. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn the LPA, the local planning agency meeting?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the LPA is adjourned. We'll take a 5-minute break, and we'll be back to start the commission meeting. Thank you.